Something remarkable is happening inside your body right now. Not one thing, and not 1,000 things, but trillions of tiny living organisms working around the clock to keep you healthy, protected, and functioning at your best. And yet, after the age of 50, many Americans may be unknowingly disrupting these microscopic helpers. Not with anything dramatic, but with something as simple and routine as breakfast. My name is Dr. Stephen Hawk. I am a physician and a longevity researcher, and my work focuses on 5 systems inside the human body. 5 built-in biological defense systems that become increasingly important as we age. The first is angiogenesis, which is simply how your body grows and maintains healthy blood vessels, the pathways that carry everything your cells need to survive and thrive. The second is regeneration, your body's remarkable ability to repair itself when something breaks down. The third is the microbiome, the vast, complex community of living organisms inside your gut. The fourth is DNA protection, your body's mechanism for guarding the genetic instructions written inside every single one of your cells. And the fifth is immunity, your internal defense army, the system that identifies and fights off threats to keep you standing strong. Today we are focusing entirely on number 3, your gut microbiome. And I want to be honest with you about something important from the start. When you visit a doctor's office, the average appointment lasts about 15 minutes. Your physician is working hard and genuinely cares about you, but 15 minutes simply is not enough time to sit down together and walk through the emerging research that is quietly reshaping what we understand about aging. That is exactly why this conversation exists. Over the course of this video, I am going to walk you through 4 things. First, I will explain what is actually happening inside your gut right now, after 50. Second, I will identify 5 foods that research has connected to disrupting your inner ecosystem. And more importantly, I will explain the biological reason why, not just what. Third, right in the middle of this video, I will share what I call the synergy secret. A remarkable discovery about 2 simple things that, when combined, appear to produce results far more powerful than either one alone. And fourth, I will present 5 foods that current science suggests can actively help rebuild what may have been lost. At the very end, I will tie everything together into one simple, actionable daily habit. Please stay with me all the way through, because the closing section connects every piece of this together. And it may be the most important part of all. Before we go any further, I want to be completely straightforward with you. Everything I share today is for educational purposes only. It is drawn from real, peer-reviewed scientific research published in respected institutions including Frontiers in Aging, MDPI Nutrients, the Journal of Biomedical Science, and Nature Microbiology. The science is real, and the research is solid. However, this video is not personal medical advice, and it is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any condition. Every person's body is different, and individual health situations vary enormously. Please speak with your own physician before making any changes to your health routine. What I want to do today is give you better information, so that when you do sit down with your doctor, you walk in with better questions. That is one of the most powerful things any patient can do. What is actually happening inside your gut after 50? Let us start from the very beginning, because before we talk about food, you need to understand what is living inside you and why protecting it matters so much. Inside your gut, your stomach and intestines, there are trillions of tiny living microorganisms. We call them bacteria, or your gut microbiome. Now, the word bacteria often sounds alarming because we grow up associating bacteria with illness and infection, but that is not the complete picture. The vast majority of bacteria inside your gut are beneficial. They are actively working for you every single day in ways that science is only beginning to fully appreciate. The human microbiota, this intricate ecosystem of microorganisms living inside you, plays a central role in maintaining health and influencing how susceptible you are to various conditions over time. To understand this more easily, imagine a large, thriving garden. not a simple one, but a rich, diverse garden where every plant has a role. Some attract pollinators, some repel pests, some return nutrients to the soil. Together, they keep the entire ecosystem flourishing. Your gut microbiome works exactly like that garden. Thousands of different types of bacteria, each performing a specific function. Some assist with digestion, some protect the lining of your intestinal wall, some produce compounds that support cardiovascular health, some even communicate directly with your brain. When that internal garden is diverse and abundant, your body tends to function better across many systems. You feel stronger, think more clearly, and your immune defenses work more effectively. But here is what the research now tells us happens after the age of 50. Age-related changes in the body are closely shaped by shifts in the gut microbial community. Aging is frequently accompanied by a measurable decline in microbial diversity, along with the loss of bacteria that produce protective compounds called short-chain fatty acids. These changes can weaken the intestinal barrier and contribute to a persistent, low-grade state of inflammation that researchers have named inflammaging. Let me explain that term clearly, because it is one of the most significant concepts in modern aging science. Inflammaging describes a slow, quiet, chronic inflammation happening inside the body, one you cannot see or feel on any given morning, but one that researchers believe is steadily operating beneath the surface. Over time, this ongoing low-grade inflammation has been associated in the research literature with accelerated aging, reduced immune function, and increased risk of various chronic conditions. As people age, the gut microbiome undergoes significant shifts, often leading to what scientists call dysbiosis, an imbalance associated with increased inflammation, weakened immunity, and metabolic changes. This phenomenon of inflammaging, characterized by that chronic low-grade inflammation, is closely linked to gut microbial changes and has been studied in connection with neurological, cardiovascular, and metabolic health. But here is the most important thing I want you to understand right now. And this is the part that gives me genuine optimism as a researcher. This is not a fixed or locked situation. Microbiome-based strategies, including fiber-rich diets, polyphenol-rich diets, probiotics, and prebiotics, show real potential to help restore gut microbial balance. These approaches may promote the growth of beneficial bacteria and the production of key protective compounds, including short-chain fatty acids and neurotransmitters. In turn, they may support nutrient absorption, strengthen the gut lining, and improve mucus production, all of which contribute to what researchers describe as healthy aging. In other words, your gut can respond, it can adapt, and the process of supporting it starts with what you choose to eat. The 5 foods that may be harming your gut after 50. Food 1. Ultra-processed packaged foods. Let me share something that surprised even me the first time I encountered it in the research. Studies suggest that people who consume large amounts of ultra-processed foods may have significantly lower gut microbial diversity compared to those who eat primarily whole, natural foods. To put that in the terms of our garden analogy, imagine waking up and finding that nearly half the plants in your garden had disappeared, not weakened, gone. That is the kind of disruption that a diet high in ultra-processed foods may create in your microbial ecosystem over time. Ultra-processed foods are defined as industrial formulations typically containing 5 or more ingredients, often including synthetic additives, emulsifiers, refined sugars, refined oils, salt, and preservatives. This includes the chips in foil packaging, cookies in plastic trays, frozen ready-made meals, flavored crackers, and instant noodles. These are not just generally unhealthy in the traditional sense. The research suggests they may be biologically disrupting your gut in ways that science is only now beginning to measure and understand. Ultra-processed foods, with their high synthetic additive content, emulsifier content, and low fiber content, have been associated with a decrease in microbial diversity, lower levels of beneficial bacteria, and an increase in pro-inflammatory microorganisms. The ripple effects of these microbial changes may include persistent inflammation, which research has connected to various chronic conditions, Additionally, ultra-processed foods may influence the gut-brain connection, potentially affecting aspects of cognitive function and mood over time. Food 2. Food emulsifiers. The hidden concern. This next category surprises almost every person I share it with, because it is something most people have never thought about. Emulsifiers are chemicals added to food products to make them smoother, creamier, and to extend their shelf life. They are present right now in many common items: your bottled salad dressing, many commercial ice creams, certain breads, some yogurts, and coffee creamers. They make food look appealing and last longer on the shelf. But in your gut, they appear to do something quite different. Research has found that common emulsifiers altered the microbial community in ways associated with metabolic changes and low-grade inflammation, including by reducing levels of important beneficial bacteria. Emulsifiers used in ultra-processed foods may prevent the growth of beneficial bacteria with anti-inflammatory properties, which could increase gut permeability and allow substances to pass into the bloodstream that would not normally do so. To understand that last point, think of your gut lining as a wall built from tightly packed bricks. Those bricks are your intestinal cells, and they are supposed to remain tightly joined so that what belongs inside your gut stays there. Emulsifiers and chemical additives appear to weaken the connections between those cells. When this barrier becomes compromised, a condition sometimes called increased intestinal permeability, it may trigger a chronic inflammatory response and has been studied in connection with various immune-related conditions. This is supported by real research in respected scientific journals. So the next time you pick up a bottle of salad dressing or a container of coffee creamer, try flipping it over and looking at the ingredient list. Words like polysorbate 80, carrageenan, or carboxymethylcellulose indicate the presence of emulsifiers. Food 3. Refined sugar and artificial sweeteners. Most people already understand in general terms that refined sugar is not ideal for health, but the specific mechanism by which it may affect the gut is something very few people have heard explained. Returning to our garden analogy, most of the beneficial bacteria in your gut feed on fiber. Fiber is their primary fuel source, the equivalent of sunlight and water for the good plants in the garden. Refined sugar, however, acts more like a weed fertilizer. It does not nourish the beneficial bacteria. It preferentially feeds the harmful ones, allowing them to multiply and gradually crowd out the beneficial populations. Research suggests that high consumption of ultra-processed, sugar-rich foods is associated with higher levels of potentially harmful bacteria and lower levels of bacteria that produce the protective short-chain fatty acids your gut most needs. There is also a surprising dimension to this that many people do not expect. Artificially sweetened products, zero-calorie sodas, sugar-free syrups, artificial sweeteners in coffee, are not neutral. Research has found that synthetic sweeteners such as sucralose may significantly reduce microbial diversity and may enrich certain bacterial families that are not beneficial. So choosing diet sodas or sugar-free products to avoid calories may come with a trade-off that deserves consideration when it comes to gut health. Food 4. Fried foods and high sodium. Fast food. This section is not intended to create shame or judgment. Many of us grew up eating fast food, and many of us still reach for it when life is busy and time is short. This is purely about understanding the biology. Fast food is not just high in calories. Its specific effects in the gut go deeper than is commonly discussed. Research suggests that people who regularly consume excessive amounts of sodium have more harmful bacteria and less diversity in their microbiome. And because the average American may consume substantially more sodium than recommended, this is a widespread concern. This microbial imbalance associated with high sodium, high fat diets may contribute to digestive discomfort and, importantly, may affect immune function, because a significant portion of the body's immune cells reside in the gut. When you consider that your gut health and your immune health are this deeply intertwined, the case for being more mindful of fast food consumption becomes much clearer. Food 5. Alcohol. Many adults over 50 enjoy a glass of wine or beer regularly, and the research on moderate alcohol consumption has sent mixed messages for years. particularly regarding cardiovascular health. But the gut microbiome research is increasingly clear on what alcohol may do to microbial diversity. Alcohol, even in moderate amounts, has been associated with reducing the diversity of the gut microbiota, inducing changes in specific bacterial populations, and contributing to the breakdown of the intestinal barrier, which may lead to increased intestinal permeability. This concern is especially relevant for adults over 50 who may also be taking medications. Diet, antibiotic use, and medication use all play meaningful roles in shaping gut microbiota composition, and when alcohol is combined with certain medications and a diet already high in ultra-processed foods, the cumulative effect on the gut ecosystem can be more significant than any one factor alone. This is not an argument for eliminating everything from your life. It is an argument for making more informed choices with a full understanding of the biological weight each choice carries. The synergy secret. The bacterium found in people who live to 100. Now here is where the research takes a genuinely exciting turn, and this is the section that I believe most people never hear about. Scientists around the world have been studying something very specific: the gut microbiomes of people who live past 100 years old. Not people who merely reach that milestone, but people who are living well at 100, with sharp minds, mobile bodies, curiosity, and engagement with life. And when researchers examine the gut microbiomes of these exceptional individuals, one name keeps appearing. Across multiple studies conducted in Japan, Italy, and the United States, the same bacterium surfaces again and again. Its scientific name is Akkermansia muciniphila, and I want you to think of it simply as your longevity bacterium. Across multiple studies, Akkermansia was the most consistently reported bacterium to be relatively more abundant with aging, particularly in the oldest adults. Bacteria previously associated with health and anti-inflammatory activity, including Akkermansia, were found to be elevated in adults aged 80, 90, and 100 and above. Now consider the other side of that finding. Ultra-processed foods have been associated with lower levels of Akkermansia muciniphila and an increase in pro-inflammatory microorganisms. The people eating standard processed food diets tend to show lower levels of this bacterium. The people living to 100 tend to show higher levels. That gap is not random, and understanding it is genuinely important. What does Akkermansia actually do inside your body? In simple terms, Akkermansia lives in the mucus layer that coats the inside of your intestinal wall. That mucus layer acts as a soft, protective barrier between your gut's internal environment and your intestinal cells. Akkermansia helps maintain that coating, keeping it healthy, thick, and functional. It has been recognized for its ability to enhance intestinal integrity and has shown beneficial effects in research related to metabolic health. Supplementation and dietary support of Akkermansia has been shown in research to be associated with improved gut barrier integrity, reduced immune activation, and positive effects on metabolic pathways. Now, here is the synergy secret I promised you. Akkermansia does not work in isolation. Its protective power appears to multiply when it works alongside a compound called butyrate, a short-chain fatty acid produced by your gut bacteria when you eat fiber. To understand butyrate simply, imagine a team of workers inside a factory. They produce a specialized protective compound that is then distributed throughout the body. Butyrate is that compound. Your gut bacteria manufacture it from fiber, and it then travels throughout your system doing something remarkable. Short-chain fatty acids like butyrate directly influence immune responses by stimulating immune cells, promoting healthy immune activity, and inhibiting pro-inflammatory signals. Butyrate specifically appears to enhance immune memory responses and promote anti-inflammatory activity while helping to regulate inflammatory signaling pathways. In plain language, butyrate helps your immune system operate in a more measured, controlled way, reducing the chronic low-grade inflammation associated with inflammaging. But here is what makes this truly a synergy rather than simply two separate benefits. Akkermansia and butyrate-producing bacteria function as a team. Akkermansia creates the environmental conditions in the gut that allow butyrate-producing bacteria to thrive. And butyrate, in turn, helps protect the mucus layer that Akkermansia depends upon. Each supports the other. Research has noted that the successful rebuilding of butyrate-producing bacteria in the aging gut steers the microbiome toward healthy aging, while the failure to do so steers it in the other direction. That single research finding may be one of the most important I have ever encountered in this field. Microbial ecosystems enriched with butyrate-producing species have been associated with more stable biological aging patterns and longer, healthier lives. The obvious question, then, is how? How do you grow more Akkermansia? How do you increase butyrate production? How do you shift your gut profile toward that of someone who is thriving into their 90s and beyond? That is exactly what the next section addresses. The 5 foods that may help rebuild your gut after 50 Rebuilding Food 1, colorful plant foods, berries, olive oil, dark chocolate, and green tea. The first category of rebuilding foods is one that tends to bring a smile when I share it with patients, because these are genuinely enjoyable foods. Blueberries, blackberries, dark cherries, extra virgin olive oil, green tea, and dark chocolate all share a critical common feature. They contain natural compounds called polyphenols. Polyphenols are what give plants their deep, rich color. The dark blue in a blueberry, the deep green in quality olive oil, the rich brown in dark chocolate. And when these colorful compounds arrive in your gut, they act like a selective fertilizer, nourishing the beneficial bacteria while creating an unfavorable environment for harmful populations. Dietary polyphenols are associated with antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and neuroprotective effects, and research suggests they may play a role in supporting the body against various chronic conditions associated with aging. Research has also found that diets rich in anthocyanins, the compounds found in blueberries, blackberries, and dark cherries, may increase butyrate-producing bacteria and may ease some age-associated microbial changes. Practically speaking, this does not require dramatic change. A handful of blueberries with breakfast, a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil on vegetables or salad, a cup of green tea in the afternoon, 1 or 2 small squares of dark chocolate at 70% cacao or higher. These are small, consistent daily habits, and your gut bacteria can respond to them. Rebuilding food. 2. Fiber-rich. Whole foods, beans, lentils, oats, broccoli, and sweet potatoes. Of everything I will share today, this may be the most foundational. Fiber, not in supplement or powder form, but in real, whole food, is the primary fuel source for the bacteria that produce butyrate. Without fiber, that production slows or stops. The remarkable thing is how quickly the gut can respond. Research suggests the gut microbiome can begin responding to dietary changes in as little as a few days. That means every meal carries real, near-term biological significance. Fiber-rich diets show genuine potential to help restore gut microbial balance, promoting the growth of beneficial bacteria and the production of protective compounds like short-chain fatty acids that support healthy aging. Practically, this means lentil soup, black bean salad, steel-cut oats in the morning, broccoli with dinner, or a baked sweet potato in place of more refined carbohydrates. Each of these brings different types of fiber into your gut, and different fibers nourish different bacterial populations. That variety is what builds and sustains the diversity your gut garden needs. One important note for anyone over 50 who has been on a low-fiber diet for an extended period: begin slowly. Add one fiber-rich food at a time and give your microbiome time to adjust. Temporary bloating or digestive discomfort is a normal part of adaptation, not a sign that fiber is harmful. Rebuilding food. 3. Fermented foods: yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, and miso. There is an important distinction between what fiber does and what fermented foods do, and it helps to understand both. Fiber feeds the bacteria you already have. Fermented foods introduce new beneficial bacteria into your gut ecosystem. If your gut is a neighborhood, fiber improves the infrastructure, the roads, the parks, the conditions that make it a good place to live. Fermented foods are like new residents arriving, bringing different skills and contributions that your existing community may not have had before. Fermented foods contain live, active microorganisms, real bacteria that can take up residence in your gut and begin performing beneficial functions. Plain yogurt with live cultures, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, and miso, each introduce different strains of beneficial bacteria. They are collectively referred to as probiotic foods, and they work best when combined with prebiotic foods that feed and sustain those new arrivals. One note about yogurt specifically, because this question comes up often. Not all yogurt qualifies here. A brightly colored plastic cup of heavily sweetened flavored yogurt is not what we are discussing. The version your gut can benefit from is plain, full-fat yogurt, bearing the label live and active cultures. Add a handful of blueberries on top, and you have just combined Rebuilding Food 1 with Rebuilding Food 3 in a single simple bowl, efficiency that I genuinely appreciate. Rebuilding Food 4, Omega-3. Rich foods, salmon, sardines, walnuts, and flax seeds. Most people already know that omega-3 fatty acids support cardiovascular health, but far fewer people are aware of what these essential fats do specifically inside the gut. Polyunsaturated fatty acid-rich diets, including foods high in omega-3s, show real potential to help restore gut microbial balance as part of broader strategies to support healthy aging. In terms of your gut lining, that wall of tightly packed cells we discussed earlier, omega-3 fatty acids help maintain the integrity of the connections between those cells. When the wall remains intact, harmful substances are far less likely to escape into the bloodstream, and the inflammatory signaling that fuels inflammaging has less opportunity to take hold. A disrupted gut microbiome balance has been connected in research to various health concerns, including metabolic, cardiovascular, and mental health conditions. And omega-3 rich foods help support the microbial balance that may protect against these disruptions. Practically, 2 servings of salmon per week is a reasonable and achievable goal. Sardines on whole grain crackers are one of the most affordable and nutrient-dense foods available and deserve far more attention than they typically receive. A small handful of walnuts on oatmeal in the morning, or 1 tablespoon of ground flax seeds stirred into yogurt or a smoothie are simple and cost-effective additions. You do not need expensive supplementation for this benefit. Real food delivers it effectively. Rebuilding Food 5. Prebiotic foods, garlic, onions, asparagus, leeks, and green bananas. This is my favorite category, and the one most people walk past in the grocery store without a second thought. Prebiotic foods deserve far more attention than they typically receive, and I want to explain clearly what makes them unique. People often confuse probiotics and prebiotics, so let me define the difference simply. A probiotic is a food or supplement that contains live beneficial bacteria. Fermented foods are probiotic. A prebiotic is the food that feeds those bacteria once they are in your gut. If a probiotic is like buying fish for an aquarium, a prebiotic is the food you put in that aquarium to keep those fish alive and thriving. Without prebiotics, even the most beneficial bacteria cannot sustain themselves long term. Prebiotic foods include raw garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus, and, here is the one that surprises people most, a slightly green banana. Not an overripe, soft, very sweet banana, but a firm, slightly green one. The reason is resistant starch. Unripe bananas contain substantial amounts of resistant starch, which passes through the stomach largely unchanged and arrives in the large intestine where gut bacteria are waiting. Those bacteria ferment the resistant starch, use it as fuel, and in the process produce butyrate, that same protective compound we discussed in connection with Akkermansia. A variety of plant-based prebiotic foods can nourish a wider range of beneficial bacteria, and this diversity is what builds a resilient and protective gut ecosystem. Akkermansia muciniphila specifically thrives when fed the right prebiotic compounds. So a slightly green banana, that one small, inexpensive, easy daily choice, can support one of the most important bacteria associated with healthy longevity. That is the kind of detail most people never hear. And now you know it. Your gut is talking to your brain. Right now. I want to step back from the specific foods now because I want to make sure you leave this conversation with something larger than a shopping list. What I'm about to share is the part that, in my view, fundamentally changes how you think about your body. Your gut is not simply a digestive organ, it is a sophisticated communication center. Right now, as you are watching this, the bacteria in your gut are producing chemical compounds that travel through your bloodstream and nervous system, all the way to your brain. Researchers call this the gut-brain axis, and it is becoming one of the most studied and important areas in modern health science. What the research is showing us clearly and consistently is that the health of your gut directly influences the health of your brain. The gut-brain axis is emerging as a critical pathway in how we age cognitively, with microbial compounds influencing brain function and neuroprotection. Here is a fact that tends to genuinely stop people when they hear it. A substantial portion of the body's serotonin, the chemical most associated with stable mood, calm, and well-being, is produced in the gut, not the brain. When gut bacteria are disrupted by ultra-processed foods, neurotransmitter production may be affected, which researchers have studied in connection with mood and mental health. This means that when the 5 harmful foods we discussed are damaging your gut bacteria, the effects may extend beyond digestion. Your mood, your mental clarity, your sense of emotional stability, all are connected to what is happening in your gut microbiome. The gut microbiome has emerged in the research as a critical regulator of human aging and overall health span, with age-related microbial imbalance increasingly linked in the literature to a broad spectrum of aging-associated conditions. And then there is the immune connection, which may be the most surprising and impactful piece of information in this entire video. A significant majority of the body's immune cells reside in the gut. When your gut bacteria are healthy and diverse, they signal to your immune cells to be alert but measured, responding to genuine threats without overreacting. When your gut bacteria are out of balance, those signals can become dysregulated. The immune system may begin overreacting to things it should ignore, and that dysregulated response is understood by researchers to be one of the core drivers of inflammaging. That slow, quiet fire we discussed at the very beginning. Now, bring it all together. The signature characteristics of the long-lived gut microbiome, increased diversity, elevated beneficial bacteria, and enhanced gut balance, are understood to be a foundation of strategies to extend longevity. Emerging evidence has illuminated the critical role of gut microbiota in regulating health and longevity across the lifespan. And the research ultimately points not toward fear or inevitability, but toward opportunity. Understanding the gut microbiome's role in aging offers genuinely novel opportunities for promoting longevity and enhancing quality of life in older adults. I have been in medicine for a long time. I have sat with patients through difficult moments. I have read research papers late into the night, trying to understand why some people age with such grace and vitality, while others struggle with conditions that seem to arrive prematurely and progress steadily. And the deeper I have gone into this science, the more convinced I have become of something that I believe is genuinely hopeful. Most aging is not as fixed or inevitable as we have been led to believe. Many of us grew up with the cultural idea that after a certain age, the body simply begins to decline, and that this is something you simply accept. But the science, the peer-reviewed, rigorously conducted science, does not fully support that story. The gut microbiome can begin responding to dietary changes in as little as a few days, not months from now, not years from now, within days. That means the choices you make at dinner tonight carry real, measurable, biological weight. Somewhere in Okinawa, Japan, somewhere on the island of Sardinia, Italy, in remote communities around the world where people routinely live vibrant, engaged lives into their 90s and well beyond, people are eating real food, fermented food, colorful plants, simple fish, fresh garlic and onions. They are not doing anything magical. They are not taking exotic or expensive supplements. They are feeding their gut gardens, and their gut gardens, full of diverse, thriving, butyrate-producing, Akkermansia-rich bacterial ecosystems, are sending healthy signals to their hearts, their brains, their immune systems, and every cell in their bodies. That is not wishful thinking. That is documented, peer-reviewed biology. Understanding the gut microbiome's role in aging offers novel opportunities for promoting longevity and enhancing quality of life in older adults. You are one of those older adults, and you deserve that quality of life. So I will leave you with a practical action and then one question. This week, just this 1 week, I want you to try 3 small things. First, add 1 fermented food to your daily routine. Plain yogurt with live cultures, kefir, or a small serving of kimchi are excellent starting points. Second, add 1 prebiotic food to your cooking this week. Raw garlic in a meal, a slice of onion in your salad, or asparagus with dinner. Third, swap just 1 ultra-processed snack for something whole. A handful of blueberries, a small bowl of walnuts, or a slightly green banana. 3 things. That is all. Not a dramatic overhaul. Not a complete lifestyle transformation overnight. Just 3 small, consistent signals sent to your gut garden. Signals that say, I am paying attention to you now. And now, the question. Because I read every comment on this channel, and I genuinely want to hear your answer. If you could look inside your gut right now, if you could truly see your inner garden and honestly assess whether it was thriving or struggling, what do you think you would find? And what is one thing, just one, that you are willing to change this week to begin shifting that picture? Tell me in the comments below. Because meaningful, lasting change, real, biological, measurable change, often begins with one honest answer to one honest question. Take care of yourself. Your gut is listening.